record decision. Okay, let me check how many of you ready in this group. 8. Ada lagi 2 orang tak dapat masuk lagi. Okay, tapi tak apa. Tadi sebab saya tak set katanya saya set untuk you boleh terus masuk ni. Okay, tapi nak kena get approval, then only you can join this group. Okay, so now you can see the slide. Let me continue with my discussion with you. Okay, why is it important for you to differentiate between the 2 classification of research? Okay, let me recall back lah. Okay, just now we talk about the 2 general classification of research. So you have quantitative, qualitative. Okay, what make you go for quantitative or qualitative research? It depends on the requirement of study. Okay, it depends on what you look for. And what you look for will requires you to carry out different kind of research. Yeah, you may be involved with those research that may requires you to measure certain things, to be more objective, okay, to deal with numbers, and that will lead you to quantitative research. On the other hand, not all the time you will involve with quantitative research, because things that you cannot quantify, things that is very subjective, also important for you is in your input of the study. And since your input is in the form of qualitative, so it requires you to analyze it qualitatively. So that that make this kind of research falls under qualitative research. And another perspective, you do have research that we classify into applied and basic research. Okay, so you have this one applied. Okay, another extreme, you ada applied versus basic research. Okay, what make applied research differ from basic research? Applied, the name applied mean you have to apply in the real situation. Okay, in the real phenomena. Okay, and it requires you to solve certain problem. Take example, you have a particular organization that face certain problem, and that requires you to solve it. And you need to carry out research, and that research help you to solve the problem. But when you talk about basic research not all the time needs you to solve the problem. You carry out research in order for you to know, to get the answer. Okay, and on top of that, to enhance this basic research, you normally will help. Okay, you will use that findings in basic research in order for you to enhance the body of knowledge. Okay, so for this particular report that you need to carry out, it involves this type of research, applied research, okay, rather than basic research. So you need to carry out research that help you to solve the problem. And that is why, first thing that I ask you, which organization that you attach to, right? So in research, normally, okay, in research, it requires you to involve various activities. Yeah. So kalau you cakap pasal research ni, it is a process. Research is a process. So when you say it is a process, it involves activities. Bila you cakap dia ada activities, then you wonder, what activities involved in research? In this sense, kita panggil dia sebagai applied business research. Nama dia business. Sebab you ambil paper or you ambil program Master in Business Administration. So your research area will be research in business. Business is very broad too. Example, area of research in business, you ada HRM. Other example, you ada marketing. Okay, other example mungkin you ada finance, other mungkin operation management. Yeah. So because in business, it involves various areas, right? So there are things that maybe you need to cater in order for you to solve particular problem in certain area. So in applied business research, although the name is applied business research, but within the areas of business itself, you have many sub-unit or many sub-areas that you can specialize in. The same goes to the research that you want to do in this project paper. Okay, you may look into particular areas in HRM, problem in HRM, or maybe problem in finance, or maybe problems in marketing. And in order for you to understand this problem, obviously you need data. And that data comes from the organization of your choice. And that is why it's important for you to get yourself familiar with the organization that you want to study. Can you imagine yourself as a consultant? Okay, you do this research because you want to help the organization. But before you can help them, you need to understand their problems. Especially when you are not familiar with that organization. How are you going to solve that problem? Contohlah, if you go to a clinic or hospital, you jumpa doktor kan? Selalu doktor tu suruh you buat apa? Dia tengok you je ke dia tahu penyakit you? Bila you masuk jumpa doktor tanya you apa?
Dia tanya apa?
Boleh tak dia tahu penyakit you kalau dia tak tanya?
Tak boleh.
Okay, mungkin tak boleh. Unless lah you terlibat dalam kemalangan jalan raya ke contoh. Nampak sangat kaki you patah. Okay, that one mungkin. Okay, very obviously the doctor will treat that particular areas lah. But normally when you come to the doctor, when you see the doctor need to identify. They need to diagnose you. The reason why they need to diagnose? Because they want to know the problem. The same things like in research. Here we're talking about applied research. Applied research requires you to solve problem of the organization. It will be best if you pick organization that you are familiar with, so that you can easily get access to the data, so that you can study more on the problem. You can understand more on the problem, and that will help you to solve the problem. Yeah. And another thing is, if you don't attach to that organization, mungkin you may have difficulty to get access to the data. So, my suggestion, my advice to you, in order for you to do this paper or this report or this project paper lah, my suggestion is you pick organization that you are familiar with. If possible, the company that you attach with. Hoping that with that concern, okay, you should be able to get access with the data, and you should be more familiarized, okay, with the nature of the organization and the business conduct. Right? So I go back to the context of research here. In this paper, you are required to carry out research, yeah, and it will be in the form of applied research. And when you talk about research, research itself is a process. And when you talk about process, it involves various activities. And technically, in research, activities in research start with, example, we write something. Okay, activities in research normally start with problem recognition. I want to solve the problem of the organization. So I need to know the problem. But this is the most critical and this is the most difficult part. If you don't have a good idea of what is the problem faced by that organization, it will affect the rest of the process. Okay, let me move on to the next activities in research. in order for you to solve that problem, you also need to have sufficient data. Or in other words here, the input. Let's take example in a factory, okay, in a manufacturing process where it involves normally tangible product. In order for you to produce final goods, you need input, right? Input is your raw materials and you have to process and then only you get the final goods. The same goes in research. Dalam research, to solve that problem, you need input. That input will be data. Okay? Selalunya kita panggil that activities as data collection. Right? Okay. Oops. Okay, data collection. Data collection process. Okay. Sekejap ni. Sekejap. Okay. Okay. Okay, data collection process. Okay, you need to collect the data. Kenapa you kena collect data? Macam cerita doktor tadi lah. Doktor need to have some input. Okay. In order for you to know the problem, in order for you to solve the problem, you need data. And in fact, data collection too is start from the very beginning. Okay, although generally speaking, we start with problem recognition, but to identify, to know the problem, you need data too. Okay, but this one, it is more on the official data that you use in your analysis, in your research. Okay, so data can be in the form of qualitative or quantitative. And data also can be in the form of secondary data and primary data. Okay. Okay, kalau saya nak selesaikan masalah company ni, contohnya, kalau tengok masalah company ni dari segi turnover rate of the staff, very high. Every month ada je orang yang berhenti kerja. Ada tak itu satu masalah? Okay, itu sebenarnya bukan masalah yang spesifik yang you perlu selesaikan. Itu hanyalah simptom yang you nampak. Contohlah lagi, kalau you cakap pasal penyakit kan, you tiba-tiba muntah-muntah. Adakah itu satu problem? Ya, problem, tapi you tak tahu dia masalah apa sebenarnya. Is it masalah makan ke, masalah jantung ke? Tapi itu adalah simptom. Kalau you muntah-muntah, itu petandanya apa? You masalah apa tu?
Makanan.
Okey, mungkin makanan. Ya, ada lagi masalah lain? Kalau muntah-muntah?
Pregnant.
Okay, pregnant. Ya. Lagi?
Mabuk laut.
Mabuk laut. Betul. Ya. So, you tengok kadang-kadang bila kita cakap pasal problem recognition tu, okay, ini you will learn this in your BRM paper lah. But I just give you some idea, okay? Because these are example of the activities involved in research, okay? So you need to identify the problem. Sometimes you mess up between the symptom and the real problem. You kata turnover rate tinggi, ramai orang yang berhenti kerja. Itu bukan the real problem actually. That's just a symptom to tell you that there's problem in that organization. But what is the real problem? You need to screen, you need to identify, you need to recognize the problem. So doktor kena cari masalah kenapa simptom muntah-muntah ni. Dan orang tu pregnant, you kasih masalah sakit gastrik buat apa? Sebab you tak recognize the problem appropriately. Okay. Turnover rate pekerja meningkat. Okay, you assume disebabkan, okay, you ambil purata mengatakan bahawa memang sekarang ni zaman orang bertukar kerja, tak ada masalah. Okay, memang itu nature. Tapi sebenarnya your package that you offer to the staff or maybe the way you treat them tu adalah satu masalah. So you need to identify this. Okay, you need to do some preliminary study before you can recognize the problem. And in order for you to treat that problem, you need data. And that data can be collected either through you yourself go to the field to collect the data, ataupun you use the existing data. So if you put the effort to go outside there to collect the data, kita panggil sebagai primary data. That data is meant for the current study. But sometimes you conduct research, you use existing data. Contohnya, data yang dah sedia ada dalam company. Contohnya, you tengok dari segi salary rate yang you kasih from this year sampailah the current year. You tengok dari segi the turnover rate tadi in more detail. You tengok dari segi attendance. You tengok dari segi remuneration yang you bagi. Okay, mungkin you tengok dari segi procurement yang you buat. Mungkin dari segi masalah procurement lah. You tengok dari segi kontrak yang you buat dengan you punya suppliers and so forth. Alright. So data collection as an input in your research is important. That is part of the activity, part of the process in your research, and it is one of the activities involved. Okay, data itself won't give you enough meaning unless you process. Again, if you refer to manufacturing contohnya, you have raw materials as an input. That raw material need to be processed. Then only it become final goods. Okay, and that final goods lah yang you boleh offer to your client. The same goes dalam research. You have to analyze. Okay, instead of we use the term analyze, other activities kita panggil sebagai analysis. Okay, analyze, data analysis. Right? You have to transform the data into more meaningful information. Right? So contoh data yang you ada tadi, you put it in a graph. Or maybe you analyze it using statistical analysis. If let's say your data in the form of numbers. Okay, you use quantitative approach in your analysis. So in applied research, you also involved in these activities lah. Analysis, lepas you analyze, you need to interpret. Interpret the result. Interpret the findings. Kadang-kadang, student, dia boleh analyze. Okay, sebab nowadays, especially when you talk about quantitative research, when it involves statistical analysis, you have quite numbers of software that you can use to assist you. Or in other words, that software tu sebagai you punya calculator lah. You are so obsessed with the result from the software. Nampak macam bagus sangat. Result canggih-canggih tu. But unfortunately, the problem here is, at the end of the day, especially when you talk about applied research, we want solution. Okay? Remember, dalam applied business research, you have to view yourself as consultant. Okay, siapa kat sini pernah terlibat sebagai consultant? Okay, kadang-kadang the word consultant ni, mana-mana kita boleh guna di mana-mana kan. Contohnya lah, saya pernah tengok dalam satu kartun tu dia tunjuk dekat pump station. Dia panggil petrol consultant, petrol pump consultant. Okay. Maksud dia dekat sini, orang yang jaga pump station tu adalah consultant. Okay, tapi sekarang ni dalam business research, applied business research ni you sebagai consultant. Okay, kalau you sebagai consultant, apa yang you faham dengan perkataan consultant? Mungkin you tak terlibat sebagai consultant, tapi in your organisation, you sometimes deal with this consultant kan? So what do you expect from this consultant? Okay, apa selalunya you harapkan daripada konsultan? Kenapa you bayar mereka?
As a problem solver.
Ya, okay, ya. So you mengharapkan mereka akan membantu you kan?
Betul.
Right. Sometimes kita double standard konsultan yang daripada overseas dengan konsultan yang local. Okay, kita pay more to those from overseas, assuming that they can provide us more solution. They can provide us better quality service. But then here, in this applied business research, you yourself has to view yourself as consultant. So you conduct research for that particular organization. And at the end of the day, what we expect from you, from this research that you carry out, you can provide solution. Okay, example, if let's say just now, the organization having a problem with the dissatisfaction of the employees with regards to the management. So in what sense are they, in what sense that they having problem? What are the things that they are not satisfied with the management? So you need to identify that. You have to carry out that study. Is it they are not satisfied with the salary? Is it they're not satisfied with maybe the way you treat them? Or perhaps in terms of their working hours? Or maybe in terms of their facilities that you offer to them? Okay, in order for you to know this answer, you have to carry out research. Okay, once you understand, once you get the answer of that through your research, then you may propose to the organization. Okay, but of course, the research will involve these activities. Firstly, you have to identify the problem. If you aren't able to identify the right problem, okay, the whole process of research will be useless. Okay, like we discussed earlier, please don't confuse, don't mess up between the so-called symptom and the real problem. And to know the answer of this, you need to carry out research. And in research, it involves data collection as an input to your study. And that data need to be analyzed, and you have to interpret to give meaning, and apparently you need to give suggestion. Okay, so this is how it involved in applied business research. This is just an introduction. Okay, let me acknowledge this person. Like I told you just now, this slide is prepared by our former professor, Prof. Okay, she involved with various activities in consultation at UiTM Shah Alam, and from her observation, from her experience, knowledge in consultancy, she helped AAGPS to come up with this course. Okay, they call it as applied business research. Why at UiTM we offer you this paper? Because we believe at the end of the day, when you graduate nanti kan, you nak guna pakai dalam organisation. It's not more of to come up with basic research. Basic research maybe those who involved dengan akademik mungkin are more relevant. Tapi hoping that once you have gone through this paper, you have the first-hand experience conducting applied business research, you can utilize it in the future dalam your workplace. Okay, so this is just an introduction. Okay, any question before I move to the next slide? Can you get some idea of this paper, applied business research? Anything?
Just nak tanya.
Okay.
Ada macam kind of a roadmap tak? Macam macam ni, which stage? What kind of a stages that kita kena go through?
Okay. You mean dia punya milestone macam mana Is it?
Betul.
Alright. Kalau you tengok this one, ABR dia ada dua categories. Okay, one 794, tapi you kata you already change kan dia punya code ni. Firstly, before you can carry out the real research, you are required to come up with a proposal. Okay, you need to come up with research proposal. The word proposal here means the plan. You need to propose to your supervisor or maybe to your coordinator, informing them that this is what you want to do. Right? So this will be involved in this semester. We need to know whether the research that you want to carry out is doable or not. Can it be carried out or not? Or perhaps, does it sound valid and reliable or not to be carried out? You can't just simply collect the data. You can't just simply go into the field in order for you to carry out the research. Because it's useless kalau research tu memang tak doable, memang tak reliable. Okay? So you need to propose it in the form of written report. They both involve written report. Okay, but for your second paper, next semester paper, the final paper, that requires you to be involved with Fiverr. Okay, you have to present it verbally. Plus with, you have to carry out a written report. Does that answer your question?
Ya betul. Maksudnya kan betul. Untuk macam okay, ABR791 ni, kita firstly kita akan fokus pada, for example like first step kita tahu kita akan construct problem statement, and
Yeah.
then after that some literature review, and then macam contoh untuk next step kita akan pergi dekat sampling data, and then after that apa tadi, interpret the finding, and final will be conclusion kan?
Okay, yeah. Okay, betul. You memang, okay, dekat sini, memandangkan dia applied research, dia melibatkan organisasi kan? Selain daripada you gonna identify all that melalui literature search and so forth, firstly, you need to identify the organization that you want to study. Okay, you need to know which organization that you can use in order for you to utilize their data, in order for you to conduct a research so-called as case study lah. Once you have identified this organization, you may need to understand them in terms of area that you can help them, area that involve problems. I mean, area that trigger you to conduct research. And of course, you have to understand those problems. And once you have understand those problems in which area, mungkin area dalam procurement, then you will do or you will conduct some literature search from the articles journal to enhance your understanding on that area. And of course, some written work need to be done accordingly. Then only you can come up with a research proposal. Sebab tu tadi saya tanya you kerja dekat mana? Supaya you boleh identify organisasi yang sesuai, yang boleh diguna pakai untuk paper ni. I've been in, okay, I have a few examples. Okay, previously, my students, some of them, they involved in, the recent one, involved in healthcare industry, KPG hospital. Because she worked in that organization, okay, and she involved with the customer service. So she carried out in that area. Ada juga student saya dekat dekat mana dia dekat UTM ada juga. Dia dekat bahagian entrepreneurs. So they carry out studies pasal student punya activities dekat sana. Ada juga yang dekat Velcra. Ada juga yang dekat mana? Dekat hospital Sultan Aminah. So they use the company that they attach to, or the organization that they attach to, they use the data that they have and they utilize it in this applied business research. Okay, kalau you ambil organisation yang baru, mungkin you have to get familiar lah dengan organisasi tu. And you need to get input yang bersesuaian. You may have difficulty to get access to their data. So again, that is why we encourage you to look for organisation that you are familiar with. And if possible, organisation that you attach with lah. Okay, right. Is that okay with you?
Okay, Doktor. Thank you.
Right. So, ini baru first slide nanti saya pergi slide yang kedua. Okay, the next slide. Let me delete all these. Sekejap ya. Okay. Okay, component of ABR. You wonder, what are the contents that you should have in your report? I'm talking about your written report. Okay, I use this code 794. That means this is the final report. That means you have done with your proposal. The real contents or the comprehensive content that you should have for your final project paper should include all this. Okay. ABR 794. Okay, tapi this one, ini untuk the first half, which is your proposal. In your proposal, you have 3 chapters. Alright, start with your chapter 1, which is your introduction. Chapter 1 is your introduction. Chapter 2, your literature review. And lastly, your chapter 3 would be your methodology. Right? So, if you look at here, although this sounds very mild, maybe very simple introduction, yet this is the starting point of your research. This is the critical part that you need to know well, then only you can move ahead with other chapters, right? In your introduction, you will give some background of the research, including your organization of your choice, or perhaps the industry, or maybe the area of the study. And from there, you come up with a problem statement. I will not go into detail on each. Why? Because this should be discussed in your BRM paper. That's why we offer you that subject, BRM. That subject will give you some idea on how to carry out research and even the components of the written report that you should have in your BRM2. Yeah? So chapter 1 requires you to clearly state the problem statement faced by the organization. And with that step, with that identification of problem, it will give you some direction of the objective of the study and the research question. At the end of the day, your study should answer this. Okay, you put this in your chapter 1 now. Alright. Nanti you tengok, in your last chapter nanti, ada tak you menjawab this objective? Ada tak you menjawab the research question? If you are able to answer this in your findings, in your final part of your research, means there's something wrong with your research. And to support your understanding of their area of study, you need to carry out literature review. Okay, so the beauty of applied research ni, you're not only confined with just one particular approach in understanding the problem by carry out mungkin contohnya survey. You may add on with other tools, kita panggil sebagai business tool. And apparently, they call it as academic construct, plus with maybe you have framework dalam survey yang you study, yang you carry out. Okay, although literature review ni, you put it in the second chapter, but the process of understanding your areas of research need to be done earlier before you can write on this chapter 1. Okay, but the sequence, you put it in chapter 2. Sequence dalam written report tu, you put it in chapter 2. Okay, and how this research can be carried out, it will be discussed in your proposed methodology. I have these 3 research objectives, and I have these 3 research questions. How am I going to carry out this research? It should be expelled, it should be explained in your methodology. Okay? In order for me to analyze the current situation of the organization, I will conduct some SWOT analysis. In order for me to know what factors that influence the satisfaction of the staff, okay, with regards to the organization, I need to conduct survey. And how this survey can be carried out? Who will be my respondent? What will be my sampling? What methodology or what analysis should I carry out in order for me to answer that survey? Right? So, ini patutlah dijawab dalam your methodology. This is the first 3 chapters that you need to propose, that you need to write in your so-called research proposal. Are you okay?
Okay, Doktor.
All right. Then I move to next point. Next slide. Okay. Dekat sini, okay, dia kata it can be your areas of study tu, bila you cakap pasal business research, you have various areas kan. These include finance and non-finance. Okay, normally dalam finance area of study tu, it is more of fundamental lah. But most of the time, our student will involve in this area, non-finance. Okay, example, you look into the HR perspective, you look into the procurement punya issues, you look into the marketing punya issues, alright? And remember, it is problem solving focus. Remember, we are talking about applied business research. Because at the end of the day, you as a consultant, you carry out this research, your aim is to help the organization. Your aim is to solve their problem. If you aren't able to propose any solution, then the research that you carry out to, ada something wrong lah. Okay? Your analysis can be in the form of, mungkin kalau you conduct this survey tu, it can be in the form of descriptive or perhaps inferential statistic. Yeah? Can also combine with strategic business tool. Okay, later on I show you how it involves. Okay, is the combination of these two. Okay, bear in mind, my focus of discussion will be in this area, non-finance rather than finance. Finance ni lebih bersifat basic research lah nanti. Okay, but normally our student will involve in this. Yeah. Okay, let me move to next slide. Okay, non-finance project ya. Okay, dalam non-finance project ni, okay, remember, firstly, you need to identify the organization that you want to study with. Okay, normally the student will pick an organization or a company as reference, as a case in their area of research. They can also look at the industry, but it's very broad lah. Okay, might as well you go for a case and you pick an organization in your study. Yeah. So it is a problem solving approach and it is case analysis. Why they call it as case? Because you only focus on one particular organization. The result of this research can't be applied in other organizations. It's very specialized. That's why we refer it as case analysis. Take example, this particular organization is having problem with their staff kan? So you find solution. through your research that you carry out. And can you apply or can you use the findings in other organizations? Definitely no, because it is meant for a particular organization. So you as a consultant, you focus on one particular organization, and that solution is meant for that organization alone, not to be applied for other organizations. Okay, differ from if you talk about basic research. Normally, basic research, it is meant for enhancing body of knowledge. It is meant for you to understand certain phenomena, and that phenomena can be applied to other organization because your sample pun akan jadi lebih besar. You bukan specific case. Tapi dalam applied business research, dalam paper yang you kena buat ni, you focus on one organization. Okay, so methods that you carry out dekat sini, okay, you boleh guna quantitative, mungkin you conduct survey, and then you use strategic tools. Okay, strategic tools dekat sini, maybe some of you are familiar with because you've been exposed to those business tools that you have learned in previous subject in your degree level. Contohnya, in your strategic management, you come across SWOT analysis, you come across strategic tools like mungkin product life cycle, okay? Or maybe you are the strategic tools macam apa cost metric, yeah? So you can add on, you can combine this strategic tool apart from survey that you carry out nanti, okay? Kalau dalam dalam basic research kita tak guna pakai macam tu lah. Kita hanya fokus on one particular methods. Contohnya, you guna survey, survey tu je lah. Dia punya input daripada survey tu, maksudnya finding several survey tu yang you akan jadikan conclusion dalam you punya research. Tapi dalam applied business research ni, and based on the approach used by EMBA24JBS, dia guna pakai a combination, okay, a combination of quantitative tools dekat sini dengan strategic tools. Yeah. Okay, later on we see how it works. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, in a nutshell, what I can say, ABR is a research done with the intention of applying. Okay, ABR stands for Applied Business Research. Okay, you belajar BRM dengan Dr. Farida, Business Research Method. Okay, that BRM tu, Business Research Method, it can be in the form of applied or basic. Tapi you punya project paper ni dia melibatkan applied research. Research done with the intention of applying. Nama pun applied, so you can apply the result of finding to solve specific problem. Specific problem tau. Yeah. Currently being experienced in the organization. So you can ambil organisasi. You can identify dia punya problem. Or currently being faced by a given task in a given environment that are constantly changing. Should be based on real organization. Right? So think about the organization that you can pick, that you can use in this study. Okay, company mana yang sesuai rasanya saya nak study. Ingat, when you pick this organization, remember in research you need data. If I pick this organization, can I utilize the data or not? Can I get easy access to the data or not? So do you think the organization is suited to be studied in terms of this area or whatever area? Okay, so this is ABR is all about. Okay, in a nutshell. But how to carry out, we will discuss in a short while. Okay, let me move to the next slide. Okay, any question? Are you okay?
Okay, Doktor.
Right. So let me move to the next slide. Okay, extension to that discussion, that explanation on ABR. What we can see, ABR focus on decision making. Saya ada masalah dengan staff saya ni. Macam mana saya nak solve? Okay, saya tak tahu sejauh mana saya patut fokus saya patut menyelesaikannya. Semakin ramai yang meninggalkan kami. Sekarang ni gaji nak patut naikkan ke? Sekarang ni saya punya supervisor saya kena tukar ke? Sekarang ni dari segi facilities yang saya order ni tak cukup ke? Because regardless whether you are a manager or not, you have to make decision. Even daily we make decision. Okay? And that decision can be in the form of simple decision or perhaps a very comprehensive, very difficult kind of decision. Okay, and when you talk about difficult or tough decision, normally it involves higher risk. In an organization where it involves numbers of employees, numbers of workers, and obviously the decision is more critical. Okay, and the risk is very high. If you simply pick any decision you like, perhaps it may affect the whole organization. Contoh, saya nak simply naik harga barang saya. Boleh ke tak? Saya rasakan masalah ni sebab masalah barang saya lah. Okay. Our product is too expensive, the price. Okay. Can you simply reduce or increase the price? Especially when you involve with very sensitive or maybe very, mungkin you punya barang tu sangat sensitive to the price. So you need to understand well on the market. Okay. Feedback from the market, you need to understand well with your competitors. Then only you can make perhaps optimum level of decision. I'm not saying that if you conduct research, you will make the right decision, not necessary. Not necessary that when you conduct research, you punya decision tu akan jadi yang terbaik. But at least you try to reduce the uncertainty. Any decision that you make will involve risk. Okay, but to a certain extent, you try to reduce the risk. And in the ABR, do have research element incorporated in the dissertation. Okay, you want to make decision, so you apply research into your decision making. If you still remember in our earlier discussion, we talk about the process, the activities involved in research. Okay, you won't simply jump into conclusion. You need data. You need to give meaning to that data. And that will allow you to understand better the situation. And that perhaps will lead you to better decision. And lastly, meant to indicate students' level of mastery of knowledge acquired while undertaking the EMBA. Okay, so these are the reason why we offer you ABR rather than basic research. Okay, at UITM in your final semester, in your final year dissertation paper, we require you to carry out applied business research, not basic research. Hoping that you can apply this in your work setting. Sebab this kind of research lebih relevant dengan orang yang bekerja. Rather than contoh macam saya, as a lecturer, I do need to be involved in research, but my kind of research is more of the basic type. Okay, it's more of the enhancement of body of knowledge. Cuba memperkayakan knowledge dalam bidang tersebut, rather than menyelesaikan masalah dalam sesuatu organisasi. Okay, so this is the reason behind it. So when you talk about decision making, you as a consultant, okay, you as a consultant, what can you propose? Okay, generally kan sebenarnya untuk paper ni, what we expect from the student, if you use the real case, if you use the real organization and their data, at the end of the semester, when you conduct the Viva, we would expect you to present it to the person in charge of the organization. Contohlah, you ambil DG. You kata you study pasal DG kan? Okay, you identify the problem and you come up with the recommendation, the solution. So we are hoping that nanti at the end of the semester, kita boleh panggil representative from BG, you dengar, inilah saya rasa, okay, inilah output yang saya dapat daripada my research, my observation, my analysis, my understanding of your organization, and I propose this. Okay. Study about organization and applied link, attach themselves to an organization, real setting, and problem statement that is as real as possible. Jadi ada masalah kan? Kita start dengan masalah. You cuba kaji masalah yang sebenar dalam organisasi tu. Berbanding dengan when you involved with basic research. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, what you need to know when you carry out this kind of study, it's happened to other type of research too. You need to know the research design, the analytical procedure in terms of qualitative or quantitative, and then you have here the usage of strategic tools. Okay. Okay, don't worry. You akan belajar ni in more depth dalam BRM. Okay, sama juga dengan ni. Ini pun you akan belajar. Tapi dalam this paper, your final year paper, we are hoping that you can add on the value of your research that you carry out with adoption or applying with these strategic tools. Kita panggil sebagai academic construct. Okay, is a combination of the basic approach in research dengan business tools yang ada. Okay, right. Let me move on to the next slide. Sekejap ya. Okay. Okay, contohnya macam ni. Suggestion for the academic construct. Okay, ini antara business tool yang you boleh guna pakai. Okay, ataupun dipanggil models or tools for assessing data. Okay, are you familiar with SWOT analysis? I think most of you who have done a degree in business, you have come across analysis yang dipanggil sebagai SWOT. Pernah dengar tak?
Pernah tak?
Okay. Okay, ya, siapa tadi yang buat bahagian chemical engineering? You pernah dengar tak SWOT analysis?
Pernah Doktor, sebab saya punya organisation pun pakai SWOT analysis juga.
Okay, good. Okay, sebenarnya dekat sini, bila saya kata pasal applied business research tu, kita bukan sahaja pakai teknik research yang memang diguna pakai dalam basic kan, contohnya you conduct survey ataupun you conduct interview, okay, but you can utilize this model in assessing your data. Okay, we take simple example when you use SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, you don't need to go to collect data from the field by conducting field work tau. You don't have to go outside to collect the data. You may use the secondary data yang ada. When you talk about SWOT, SWOT stand for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So this data you collect from your own record. Example, your organization. That will represent your strength and your weaknesses. Imagine if you want to use this model or tools, but you cannot get access with the information about the organization, then you may find difficulty to carry out this analysis. Okay, and that is why, again, my suggestion, you pick organization that you are familiar, that you are close to, that you can get access to the data. Okay, you want to solve, example, contoh tadi, you want to solve problem with regards to the staff kan, staff turnover rate tinggi. You kenal pasti bahawa permasalahannya datang daripada internal external factors. And in this case, you are talking about whether to reshuffle ataupun reprogram you punya package for your staff. For instance, in terms of their salaries, in terms of the way you treat them, okay? So before you can understand, before you can identify which is more crucial, whether to tackle the salary ke, whether to look into your supervision ke, whether to look into the facilities that you offer, you conduct survey. Okay, you tanya your staff. Okay, that survey requires research, where it requires you to conduct primary research. Okay, contohnya, apart from this, you conduct survey. So survey tu melibatkan you collect primary data. Primary data collection. Kenapa? Saya nak tahu. Sekarang ni, I'm talking, okay, I'll look into staff satisfaction. Okay, staff satisfaction. Staff turnover rate saya tinggi. Dekat sini, saya kenal pasti bahawa masalahnya dari segi staff satisfaction tu rendah. Dan kalau mengikut literature, okay, staff satisfaction ni dipengaruhi oleh beberapa faktor, berbagai factors. Okay, I wonder whether in my organisation ni, is it come from the salary ke? Salary package that I offer? Is it because of the facilities? Okay, is it because of the supervision? Okay, and so forth. So I conduct a survey among my staff. And at the same time, I need to offer solution to that organisation. Okay, I wonder whether this organisation, they are capable or not to offer, contohlah, from the study they carry out, I wonder whether they can increase the salary, whether they can provide facilities that are related, okay, that can enhance the satisfaction of the staff. Okay, mungkin saya boleh carry out, apart from SWOT, okay, mungkin saya boleh carry out some financial analysis. Kenapa saya nak carry out some financial analysis? I wonder whether this company is good, strong enough or not to support, okay, those expenditure that may be involved if, let's say, I were to change the package, okay, the remuneration package that I offer to my staff. Okay, other example, mungkin I may also carry out this kind of analysis lah. I may carry out SWOT analysis. Okay, this is based on my observation. This is based on my understanding of the data that I have collected, okay, internally, externally. And I may also carry out more detail from this SWOT analysis. I may carry out Faust metric, or perhaps I may carry out tests. Okay, these are example the tools that you can use lah. Or dekat sini you ada other industry analysis. Okay, then you wonder, nak buat semua sekali ke? Should I adopt all this or apply all this academic construct apart from this research? Okay, not necessary to carry out all. You may just apply two. Okay, you may just apply one or two from this business tool, and you support with this research. Okay, that will help you to offer better solution lah dalam you punya report nanti. Okay, so what make applied business research mungkin differ dengan research biasa yang you carry out? Dia ada combination this research dengan combination dengan models or tools for assessing the data. right? So at the end of the day nanti, okay, you can see overall dekat sini sekejap Right. Okay. Okay. This is the research process. Okay. Research process macam kita dah discuss tadi. Okay. Technically, you start with defining the problem, and from that problem, it lead you to research objective and your research question. And then you identify how to carry out this research. Okay, it can be from a combination that we discussed just now. Okay, you use the primary data. Example primary data tadi kita guna pakai dekat sini, you guna survey. You carry out survey. Strategic tools, mungkin you carry out financial ratio analysis ataupun you conduct SWOT analysis. So it's a combination of these two. Okay, but of course it goes back to you punya problem dekat sini. To solve this problem, what tool should I use? And what primary data should I collect? Okay, and all these technically you will learn in your PRM. Okay, so the idea of this discussion, today's discussion, is giving you some input on the process, how it looks like. Okay, and of course, once you have identified the approach that you should go for in order for you to achieve your objective here, you need to identify the data collection methods, right? So example here, in order for me to collect primary data, I may go for survey. Should I go for interview? It depends. Okay, mungkin tadi saya kata saya nak study pasal saya punya staff saya yang bermasalah, okay, with high turnover rate. So in this sense, can I just simply use survey? Again, it goes back to your understanding of the problem. If let's say you need to gain further, okay, detail or maybe in-depth understanding of the feedback from your staff, perhaps apart from survey, at the initial stage of your research, you need to carry out interview. Okay, kadang-kadang interview ni you buat sebelum you identify the problem. Okay, I need to get some idea dulu. I interview a few of my staff. Sebenarnya apa masalah mereka? Mereka yang dah berhenti kerja tu, sebenarnya apa yang tersirat, apa yang terbuku di hati mereka. And to confirm this, then perhaps I conduct survey. And from that, further I will conduct document analysis. Document analysis ni example tadi you conduct SWOT lah tadi. Right? So when you conduct survey contohnya, that survey will not end until you collect the data. That data need to analyze. The same goes dengan you punya SWOT juga. When you already collected the data, you have to put it in such a way that you manage to present it in a form of findings, right? And for your survey tadi, you need some statistical analysis to assist you. And that statistical analysis can involve descriptive atau inferential. Okay, don't worry if you're not familiar with this term, descriptive ataupun inferential. Sebab dalam BRN nanti you akan belajar. Okay, sometimes in order for you to understand the research that you carry out, just to describe the characteristic, you selalunya akan guna descriptive analysis je lah. Contoh descriptive analysis, you tengok dari segi score mean, dari segi average score dia, okay, dari segi frequency, percentage, yeah, very simple analysis. But then, sometimes you need to infer, okay, you need to conclude, okay, your findings to using sampling contohnya, that will involve inferential analysis, and apparently it basically will requires you to carry out hypothesis testing. Again, don't worry about the term hypothesis testing. Okay, some of you are familiar with this, and I believe most of you are familiar. It's just a matter of to recall back what you have learned lah previously dalam you punya degree level. Okay, contoh if you conduct survey, okay, and you only pick a small numbers of your staff. In general, okay, in total staff you ada, contohnya you ada 500 pekerja, tapi you hanya ambil 100 saja dalam your survey. Ya, you want to make conclusion from this 100 for the 500 population, and you have to carry out so-called inferential analysis. Okay, and you have to conduct hypothesis testing. Okay, nowadays hypothesis testing nak confirm the test tu is quite simple in the sense that dari segi calculation dia tu you ada numbers of software that you can use. So you just key in the data and they will give you the result. But at the end of the day, as a researcher, most importantly, you need to know how to interpret. Because remember, our aim in this research is not just to analyze the data, to give findings of the data, but you need to propose the recommendation to the organization. Because you as a consultant kat sini, and your work as a consultant kat sini is more just simply provide the answer to the problem, but need to provide solution to the problem faced by the organization. Okay, and you have to follow the guidelines lah in presenting your report and your analysis to semua. Okay, so technically, these are the process involved in your research. Okay, kenapa dipanggil research? Okay, sebab research tu sendiri melibatkan proses mengenal pasti masalah dan menyelesaikannya. Itu untuk applied research. Okay, you can't just simply make conclusion. Contohlah, saya rasakan masalah company ni adalah sebab bos dia yang tak betul. Kita kena tukar bos baru. Itu based on your intuition. Itu based on your judgment. Now you have to apply scientific research into your decision making. I want to make decision. What action should I take? What strategy should I go for in order for me to tackle this problem? To do so, I need to carry out research. Okay, nanti kalau you dah biasa dengan benda ni, nanti bos you tanya, kita ada masalah ni. Okay, you won't simply jump into conclusion lah by giving the answer. Right? So, regardless whether the research that you carry out is a simple research atau comprehensive research, at the end of the day, most importantly is it is reliable and it is valid and can assist you in your decision making. That is why also you have to learn BRM. Okay, you need to know of how to carry out a valid and reliable research. Okay, all of us, we can claim that we conduct research. Even kalau you tanyalah semua orang, dia kan cakap, saya dah buat research lah. Kenapa orang tak nak datang kedai saya? Cuba, tapi you tanya dia, research macam mana dia buat tu? How reliable it is? Mungkin dia tanya kawan-kawan yang seangkatan dengan dia. Okay, mungkin sampel yang dia guna pakai tu tak sesuai. Mungkin analisis yang dia guna pakai tu tak valid. Boleh ke you terima pakai input dia? Now, we want to teach you, okay, we want you to have the skills of solving problem by applying scientific research into your decision making. Right? So, any question? Are you okay? You boleh faham ke cerita saya? Do you have any question? Atau you sedang beraya atau tengah makan kuih raya?
Ya, doktor. Ya.
Okey, doktor.
Ada soalan?
Doktor nak tanya, Untuk yang research process ni, normally
Yeah.
untuk ABR791, dia akan pergi the whole step ataupun kita akan fokus pada step 1 dengan step 2 dulu. Yang balance tu akan pergi dekat ABR792.
Clever. Betul-betul. Alright. Memang untuk yang first level untuk semester ni, you hanya fokus pada these two. Okay, ni chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. You tak collect data lagi. Okay. But once your supervisor or your advisor kata, okay lah, you punya proposal ni boleh diterima pakai, okay, then you move on with data collection. Okay, no point you straight away go for data collection. Contohnya you conduct survey tadi kan. Tapi sebenarnya it is not the real problem that you should carry out, and that is not the kind of survey that you should carry out. You dah habis masa lah nanti. Right? So the first layer, the first level in your ADR ni is a proposal. This semester you carry out proposal. And remember, proposal also carry weight. You need to settle your proposal this semester, then only you can move on to the next level, final semester nanti, untuk you punya next ABR code. Okay, semuanya on paper untuk semester ni. Yet to carry out the fieldwork lah kalau it involves fieldwork. Memang it involves fieldwork. But still, since this is applied research, in order for you to answer this first part, in order for you to write your proposal, you need to maybe conduct some slide or simple interview juga untuk gain some input from the organization. Okay, contohlah satu company, you pilih company, one of the companies among 3 of you kan, you pick one companies that you think it is suitable. Okay, mungkin you boleh tanya pendapat staff yang terlibat dekat sana tu. Kadang-kadang you tak perlu tanya. Kadang setengah organisation tu dia sediakan feedback untuk customer, contohnya feedback untuk supplier dia ke. Mungkin feedback from the customer, from the staff, from the supplier yang memang dah sedia ada dia punya input tu, you can use as a starting point to understand the problem faced by the organization. Simple example, when you talk about an organization, especially fast moving consumer goods kan, you rely so much on your customer, your end customer. You from time to time, you provide them platform for them to give feedback. Contohnya, you ada conduct survey ataupun you ada your own website. Dekat website you tu, you sediakan platform untuk customer bagi pendapat. That pendapat tu boleh diguna pakai sebagai starting point to understand the problem of the organisation. Ataupun you boleh tengok record daripada you punya supplier tu. Sejauh mana dia punya performance. That will give you some idea of the problem faced by the organisation. Still lah, ada fieldwork yang perlu dibuat. Tapi fieldwork dia tu lebih bersifat you mengguna pakai secondary data rather than you go for primary data collection. Okay, any more question? Yes, anything else that you want me to clarify? Are you okay?
Okay, Doktor.
Okay, I move to next slide. Okay, linking research objective to methods used. All right. I guess I already discussed with you on this example. In your methods that you want to use, you use a combination of the two. You want to know the consumer acceptance, okay, about certain things. For instance, with regards to your product. In order for you to answer that question, you need to carry out survey. And in order for you to analyze the current situation, okay, of your organization, whether what you have and what outside there is related or not, okay, you may go for SWOT analysis ataupun PES analysis. Okay, these are two combination methods that you can use lah, example, right? So not necessary that you use these two methods. Some perhaps will go for other kind of methods lah, yeah. Again, it goes back to your problem, okay, and that problems will require you to carry out certain methods to be used, and that will help you to answer your research question. Okay, next, integrating survey methods with strategic tools. Okay, this is important. Okay, like take example, tadi you kata you want to use survey, alright? So that survey, it can be in the form of analysis dalam bentuk descriptive ataupun correlation ataupun regression. Again, don't worry about this part. This you will learn in more depth in your BRM. Okay, in other words here, to carry out survey, you need to have some good understanding on how to carry out. Yeah, maybe some of you have experience carry out your own survey. Contohnya, you guna polls dekat Telegram. Itu you anggap sebagai survey juga. Tapi that survey mungkin, okay, not up to the level where we consider as scientific research. Okay, when you talk about scientific research, especially when you learn in BRM, that scientific research should be supported with sufficient activities involved in carry out the research, and that activities should be carried out accordingly. In other words here, it should be valid and reliable. And you should use proper way of conducting survey. Okay, understanding the problem, understanding the population that you want to pick the right sample, pick the right methodology to be used in the analysis. All this you will learn in your BRM. Okay, sometimes in understanding the problem faced by the organization, you somehow need to carry out survey. Okay, and that may requires you to conduct a simple research, and that simple, although we call it as simple, kena pastikan dia mengikut cara yang sepatutnya. Sebab nanti, okay, satu, bila you buat assignment ni kan, of course, dia akan di-assess. Dia akan diberi grade. You punya assessment tu akan kita lihat dalam konteks sejauh mana prosedur yang sepatutnya you ikut. Let's take example, if you claim that you conduct survey in your study, we will look into the approach that you use in carry out the survey. Do you really apply what so-called scientific research yang you dah belajar dalam BRM tu into your report, into your ABR report? Okay, and that will allow you to gain, okay, to be awarded with certain marks. Contohlah kalau dalam survey you tu, you pick the wrong sample, ataupun you guna pakai soalan yang salah, ataupun soalan you tak tepat. Okay, dalam survey normally you use questionnaire. Okay, you have to carry out, you have to design the question. And that question maybe it is not meant, it is not relevant dengan your current study. Markah akan ditolak dekat situ. You sepatutnya guna pakai correlation, tapi you guna pakai descriptive study sahaja. You claim that you conduct hypothesis testing, tapi tak ada pun analysis yang boleh diguna pakai untuk test you punya hypothesis testing tu. Okay, so you gonna make sure you have that knowledge. Okay, you impart the knowledge that you learn in BRM dalam subjek ni. Dan pada masa yang sama, you pun kena ada knowledge dalam bidang tertentu. For instance, all the while, okay, for the last 2 semester, you have done several subjects like accounting, or maybe HRM, or maybe paper like marketing, all right, operation management. Your knowledge in that area can be used in this paper. Okay, some of you in your OPM mungkin, okay, you study on this particular area, and you find out that the organization that you have chosen having problem in that area. So perhaps study should be focused on that particular area, right? And apart from this survey, tadi kita dah discuss, you may also, okay, I will say you are required to add on your analysis ataupun you punya approach tu dengan these tools. Contoh, you carry out SWOT plus tau matrix reanalysis, atau you want to go for value chain analysis ataupun Porter 5 process model. Okay, SWOT or TAUS metric ni, I think nanti in your next level, in your final semester, you will learn strategic management and you will be exposed again with this. Sama juga dengan this, and of course, dalam you punya paper strategic marketing pun I think you belajar juga Porter 5 process model, alright? So all this can be incorporated with your analysis ataupun in your method survey ni. Okay, ini akan guna pakai secondary data. Ini akan guna pakai primary data. Okay, alright. So these are the combination or the tools that you can use in your analysis or in your research. Okay, let me move to the next analysis ni. Okay, contoh, I give you example of academic construct. Okay, ini kita panggil sebagai academic construct lah. Okay, selalunya bila you belajar nanti dalam BRM paper, you mungkin akan terlibat dengan this kind of study. You guna pakai framework. Okay, sometimes dipanggil theoretical, sometimes dipanggil sebagai research ataupun conceptual framework. Okay, let me write something here. This is your research framework. Ataupun sometimes kita panggil theoretical framework. Okay, and normally when you conduct survey, you akan use this framework. Contoh, this is your first variable, your second variables, your third variables, your fourth variable. This is your dependent variables. These are your independent variables. Okay, in your survey, you would like to see the effect of these 3 factors, how it influences the purchase decision. In other words here, you assume purchase decision are influenced by factors, and those are the factors. Okay, example, in your organization, you facing a problem with some declining, okay, demand of your product. So you wonder, what make people purchase your product? What are the factors that influence them in their purchase decision? So you carry out a survey. And based on literature, it shows that there are many factors. And among those factors that related to your current studies are attitudes, motivation, and store layout. So you wonder whether these 3 factors influence ke tak? So you conduct survey. Okay, and where can you get all this information about the construct? You have to refer to the articles from the journal. Ini benda ni macam saya cakap, you can learn this in your BRM paper. Okay, example, this may involve hypothesis testing 1. This may involve hypothesis 2, and this hypothesis 3. Okay, so hypothesis 1, there is a significant effect ataupun there is a significant relationship between attitudes and purchase decision. The same goes dengan there is a significant relationship between motivation and purchase decision. So when you conduct survey, you use set of questionnaire, you ask question on these variables, and with that data, you confirm, example, you use regression analysis, and from there, you confirm your hypothesis, you look at your p-value result. Okay, and with this p-value, you compare with your alpha, whether you can reject or not to reject your H now. Okay, I don't want to go further on this. I just give you some idea on these, perhaps one of the methods that you need to use in order for you to answer your research question. You conduct survey. Apart from survey, you may combine this survey with Taos metric. Okay, Taos metric ni, kalau kat sini survey ni you guna primary data, you go for fieldwork, okay. Tapi Taos metric ni you guna secondary data. Dalam Taos metric contohnya, you look at your strength, okay, your weaknesses, then your opportunities and your threats. You try to match your strength with opportunities, your strength with your threat, your weakness with opportunity, your weakness with threat, and you come up with some idea. Right? This one, don't worry, you will learn this in your strategic management. Okay, tapi to those who have been exposed, who have knowledge in this, yeah, you may think about to take note or to use this in your analysis lah, yang relevant. Okay, ataupun you boleh guna this particular tools. Okay, so dalam this particular tools, you identify which approach should you go for. Whether you need to stick with the existing product, atau you need to go for new market, atau should you go for diversification. Okay, kenapa benda ni related? Okay, sebab bayangkan kalau dekat sini, contohnya, you cakap pasal purchase decision, okay, perhaps there's a requirement for you to make changes on your product. Okay, so in order for you to understand well whether the company should go for new product development ataupun market development, then you may need to support your analysis by using these tools. Okay, so these are example the tools that you can use, okay, in your academic construct. Okay, all these kita panggil sebagai academic construct. Okay, so it's a combination of example primary data collection dengan secondary data analysis. Okay, using business tools yang ada. Alright. Okay, any question? Do I confuse you?
Dia nampak gambaran macam nak buat, doktor.
Okay, alright. Okay, dia dekat sini you boleh nampak, tapi bila nak buat nanti, you nak relatekan antara tiga ni, contohnya kan, itu akan jadi masalah lah. Okay, tapi tak apa, at least, okay, at this stage, you need to understand this is what we require. Okay, this is what we expect from you in your ABR paper. Okay, right. Let me move to next. Okay, next slide. Okay, ini, okay. If you still remember, tadi bila you conduct research atau dalam survey tu kan, antaranya you may need to involve with inferential analysis. Okay, again this one you will learn further dalam BRM. Yeah, unfortunately some student they simply carry out this analysis without having a good understanding of the purpose of that analysis. In general, they know there are two classification of analysis. Example, you have descriptive, you have inferential. But then, to what extent the requirement of inferential analysis and how to carry out this inferential analysis and how it relates with example, hypothesis testing and so forth, you need to understand well. Okay, hope that by attending BRM class, it will enhance your knowledge on this area lah. Okay, example question, if you were to apply this in your ABR paper, are they necessary to answer research objective? Okay, should you conduct inferential analysis in order for you to answer your research objective yang you ada dalam you punya ABR paper? If yes, then what would be the focus of this analysis? And do the student know how to do them? Right? That will be the crucial part. I'm hoping that again, with BRM paper, you know you will learn more about this. Okay, kalau you claim kata nak guna regression, you nak conduct hypothesis testing, pastikan you faham. Okay, sebab nanti it will reflect to your report, your written report. Not only that, when you present nanti in your viva, if you're not comfortable, you're not familiar with what you are doing, you may have problem to attempt the question thrown by the examiner. So be sure that you know what you are doing. Okay, that's the magic word that you need to, you need to keep lah. Apa-apa yang you buat, pastikan you tahu. Dan you bertanggungjawab. Okay, let me move to next slide. Okay, ni pasal hypothesis testing pun, I won't go further. Okay, why? Because again, you will cover this in your BRM paper. Okay, firstly, you need to know what is hypothesis testing. What is the idea of hypothesis testing? How to carry out hypothesis. Although to a certain extent the formula, the t-test tu you tak faham sangat ke, tapi at least you need to know what's the idea behind all this. So that when you present your findings, when you present your recommendation, it is in line dengan the result that you use and it is relevant dengan test yang you carry out. Okay, let me move to next. Okay, apart from hypothesis testing. Okay, some key questions examiners should pose during the viva. Okay, remember, not only you need to carry out written report in your ABR, but you have to present it. Okay, that means there will be a viva session. And each of you will be assessed individually. Although you present in groups, but individually, each of you, you have to present your own part. Okay, your parts. Yeah. So, do the group understand what they are doing? Selalunya kalau saya jadi examiner, contohnya, I won't ask you on the detail of the result that you have done, that you have gained from the analysis of software yang you guna pakai. Tapi my concern is, do you really understand what you are doing? Example, the connection between one chapter to another. You claim that this is the objective that you want to carry out. Does it in line or not dengan the methodology that you use? Does it consistent or not dengan the findings that you gain? Each chapter tu must be correlated, must be integrated, must be connected from one to another. Sebab dia ada link. The reason why you have this research objective because of your problem statement that you have highlighted. The reason why you use this methodology because this is the objective that you want to carry out. Okay? And is the research problem well stated? Okay? Research problem will be the main problem lah normally in your research. Okay, this one again I won't touch in that sebab it is you supposed to learn further. Okay, nanti bila you belajar nanti dalam BRM, pastikan you understand well on this. How to formulate research problem. What you mean by research problem? Why research problem should start from the very beginning? Why you put research problem at the initial stage of your research? How research problem connect with other areas or other parts in your research report? Ada tak connection antara your research problem, your research objective? Kalau tengok, the research objective, research question related to problem statement. Kadang-kadang you tulis je tau. You sedap-sedap you tulis. Tapi bila orang baca, kadang-kadang kan jadi macam ni tau. Bila you buat research ni kan, you buat penulisan ni kan, kita rasa sedap je kita baca. Tapi bila orang baca, orang tak faham. That is the problem. You have a lot in your mind. A lot of things that you want to prove. But unfortunately, when it comes to the written part, you are not able to accomplish it. You are not able to deliver it well. Kadang-kadang setengah orang tu kan, dia tak boleh cakap sangat tau. Tapi bila dia tulis, dia boleh meluahkan. You jenis yang macam mana? I think by now you can recognize kawan you yang macam mana yang bagus dalam menulis. Dekat sini you rasa siapa yang have the talent lah. You ada masalah tak nak menulis?
Sebab kalau artikel tu cukup, idea apa draft dah ada, insyaAllah boleh tulis.
Okay, right. Tapi ada tak kadang-kadang you mengalami masalah untuk menulis?
Ada dia jam terus, tak tahu nak tulis apa, dia macam tak turut dah. Tak keluar idea tu.
Yes, okay. Okay, you tengok kalau paper macam ni kan, kalau test ataupun exam, you tidak dibenarkan untuk you are not supposed to refer to other sources lah. Okay, even your friend or to discuss. So of course in that sense, it depends on what you have in your mind. But when you talk about project paper, when you talk about thesis or dissertation, you are required to refer to many sources. You are expected to get feedback from many sources. Okay? In this sense, with that sources that you have referred to, you need to digest, you need to put in such a way that you can present it well in your written report. Unfortunately, most of the time, we have difficulty to through it ataupun to rewrite again, okay, to write in the form of dissertation. Okay, kadang-kadang ayat yang kita guna pakai tu tak kesampaian. Kita boleh tulis ayat, contohlah kalau you suka tulis pantun tak? Ada tak kat sini yang suka berpantun? Atau suka sajak ke? Ada tak kat sini yang pandai berpantun atau sajak? Tak ada. Semua
Okay.
tak ada. Okey.
Mana tahu Anas ke?
Anas, awak tahu pantun tak? Okey. Dia masalahnya kan, bila you cakap pasal academic writing ni kan, of course lah, practice make perfect lah. Think whatever assignment that you do, whatever things that you do, it requires exercise. And sometimes, before you start, okay, you need to get some example. Contoh, in writing this paper, okay, in conducting this report, dissertation, my suggestion, apart from you do it yourself, you need to get some exposure, some idea on how to carry out this written report. Please read those materials written by previous researcher or previous students and make sure that you pick those with high quality report lah. And get yourself familiarized, okay, with the with the terminology that they use, with the flows that they use in presenting the ideas. Okay, kadang-kadang you punya idea ada, tapi bila you nak luahkan tu, dia tak kesampaian sebab you unable to use the right terms or maybe the right ways of presenting the idea. So hoping that when you read articles from journal, when you read sample of good report, that will enhance your understanding. That will improve your understanding on how to write. Okay, that's the first part lah, the first layer. The next layer will be, you have to do it yourself. Okay, based on your understanding of what been done by others, you need to practice on how to write it nicely. Okay, maybe at this level, master level, you do it in groups. Who knows, in the future, some of you want to pursue your study in PhD, right, or DBA, then you have to be responsible to your own work, okay, your own dissertation or your own thesis. So good skill, good written skill is very important, apart from understanding what other people have done. So other question dia kata, are the analysis used relevant to the research need? Okay, you kata you nak analyse data ni, betul ke you guna analisis yang sepatutnya? Okay, again like I said, please impart the knowledge that you gain from other subject, especially when you talk about BRM. Okay, BRM help you to understand further on the analysis to be used in your research. Can the group explain the analysis well? You try to be smart. You try to show that you know a lot about statistics. You use jargon words. You use high level of statistical analysis. Take example, if you use factor analysis, all the while, you just use simple descriptive analysis. But then when you learn BRM, you'll be exposed with more higher level of statistical analysis. You want to apply it in your ABR. But unfortunately, you yourself, you are not capable. Okay, you are not competent to adopt or to apply it. Okay, make sure you know well the analysis that you want to use. Because at the end of the day, you have to defend yourself. You have to defend your findings, what you presented in your written report. You are responsible of what you have written. Okay, don't just simply submit your paper. Don't just simply write whatever you think are relevant. Okay, whatever you think consistent dengan previous student buat. Tapi you sendiri tak faham. Okay, make sure you faham apa yang you buat. Are the findings interpreted in line with the research question? Remember why we have research question, research objective is to guide you. Okay, in your first chapter, chapter 1, awal-awal lagi, okay, kita diperlukan untuk menyediakan problem statement dengan research objective dan research question. These will be the guideline for us. Okay, make sure each chapter, the next chapter that you have to in line dengan your research question and your research objective. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, issue during Viva evaluation. Okay, this one dia kata kadang-kadang okay, kalau examiner, selalunya kalau saya jadi examiner, saya akan tanya you sama ada you faham ke tak lah. Lebih pada whether you faham ke tak. Ada kadang-kadang report yang dibuat tu memang nampak sangat dia tak faham lah. Okay, bila tanya lagi lah tak faham. Yeah? And at the end of the day, they cannot defend themselves and apparently there is a need for them to do a lot of corrections. Yeah? So talk about correction dekat sini, kadang-kadang dia perlukan masa yang panjang lah nak buat correction. Ya, tapi so far kita tak adalah masalah pelajar tu sampai tak boleh nak grad. Tapi agak menyusahkan pada mereka lah. Kalau sepatutnya dia buat yang sepatutnya kan, tapi dah banyak sangat correction. Okay, ini assessment. I hope that this assessment in line dengan the current assessment that you've been supplied with. Okay, contoh dekat sini, you punya advisor ada contribution of marks for both Viva presentation and dissertation. Dissertation here means your written report. Okay. Previously, more than 50% of the marks were given to the advisor. Tapi it seems that it is more critical for us to get feedback from the examiner. So that is why they have changed lah. Instead of you have more than 50% marks to assigned by the advisor, now you have 50-50. You please recheck again. Perhaps this is not, okay, I will say this is not the recent one. I'm hoping that there will be no changes. Okay, but as far as I'm concerned, based on my previous examiner punya experience, marks dekat sini technically it works this way lah. Yeah. So these are the assessment or the evaluation looks like for each of the components. Example, when you talk about the Viva, we look at your content and analysis and the structure flow of the presentation. Okay, you look at the content analysis carries a lot of marks. Okay, almost 50% in your Viva. Yeah, your presentation quality and how you are able to defend yourself, 20%. And technically will give you like the most 20 minutes for the overall. Take example, you have 3 of you in a groups, so the most that will give you 20 minutes. So you have to divide it nicely among the group members. And your dissertation, huge mark given to your introduction. Okay, I mean, as compared to others lah, okay, 20%. Nama je introduction, tapi remember just now when you talk about introduction, it carries those important elements dalam research. You talk about your direction of study, your problem statement, your research question, your research objective. Okay, this must be well blended so that it will help the other components of the research to be carried out nicely. Okay, right. Then this is after the Viva, in terms of correction too. Hoping that you won't have much problem with regards to your Viva. You manage to defend yourself and you will be given either major or minor, right? And you are required to do the correction if, let's say, some amendment need to be done based on the feedback of the examiners. Okay, examiner will come from lectures from the business school lah. Okay. Okay, kadang-kadang bila you tak boleh submit on time, then kita akan bagi TL lah. Okay, tidak lengkap. Tapi so far kita tak ada masalah sangat untuk student to submit on time. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all for the ABR. So the way forward with ABR, student as consultant. Ingat, you as the consultant. You are the one who's supposed to help the organization. You are the one who's supposed to offer the solution. So make sure you know well lah the problem. You know well why you carry out this research. And you know well what to propose to your client. Present of the representative from the organization during the Viva. Presence of the representative of the Viva. Okay, kadang kita encourage representative from the organization. Okay, that will give more weight, okay, to this project paper. And ABR dissertation turned into academic publication. Okay, kadang-kadang you punya report ni pun you boleh publish lah. This one with the help of your supervisor. Maybe some supervisor with their experience, they may assist you to publish. When your paper get published, that will give credit to your supervisor as well as you yourself. Okay, not only you present it in a form of written report of your assignment, but at the same time, when you publish, it gives some credit to you. Okay, maybe in the near future, if you want to continue your study for postgrad, PhD ke, DBA ke, you have some evidence saying that, yes, I have an experience publishing my paper based on the report that I have presented previously. Yeah. Okay, I guess that's all. Okay, based on the slide given by apa tu ini daripada AAGBS. Do you have any question before I give you example of the I show you example of the report? Anything that you want to ask me?
Can we have the slides, Doctor?
Yeah, sure. Boleh. Ya. Nanti saya share dengan you. Anything else? Rasa boleh buat tak?
InsyaAllah boleh.
InsyaAllah, Doktor.
InsyaAllah good to hear. Nampak saya dengar you punya insyaAllah tu confident. Alhamdulillah. Alright. Okay, let me give you, kita ada few minutes ni. A few minutes left. Let me give you some example lah example of previous report. Sekejap Okay. Ini previous report by my previous student. Ni chapter 1 lah contoh. Ya. So chapter 1. Okay, technically kan, selalunya kita ada satu topik lagi kat sini, introduction. Sepatutnya setiap chapter you must have introduction. Baru you start with background of study. Introduction will talk about what you have in this particular chapter. Okay. So in your background of study, you give some idea about your areas of concern, as well as you have some company overviews lah. Okay. Some students, they spend a lot of space explaining companies overviews dengan lebih detail. Sebenarnya tak perlu sangat. Okay. Dia pergi letaklah semua apa-apa chart, siapa board of director, semua yang ada, boleh letak, tapi make sure that it's related. Unless you want to study on the management there, maybe it is important for you to highlight lah. Otherwise, don't spend a lot of time explaining on that in your introduction. Okay, this is the problem statement. Yeah. Okay, to support your problem statement, it will be wise for you to provide some input. Okay, maybe some evidence. If you claim that there is some problem with regards to, contoh kat sini, pasal patient yang datang to the hospital, you don't just simply base on your observation like that. Okay, you can highlight it by using the graph contohnya. Okay, and make sure that you cited where you get it from. Okay, and this is to support the discussion on how it works. And apparently with this research problem statement, it leads you to the objective of the study. Okay, contoh objective of the study kat sini, to analyze the current situation of the counter service. Okay, so in order for you to tackle this issue on customer service, you first need to understand on the current situation. And then they look into the service dimension, okay, on the customer service, and apparently to develop recommendation on how to improve counter service quality. Okay, this is an example of the objective that you may highlight, that you may use in your applied business research. Yeah. Okay, I think this is not the final report that ini sebenarnya report ni tak complete. Okay.
Tak ada share screen ke, Doctor?
Sorry?
Ada
Saya
share screen ke?
Oh, tak nampak lah, sorry Sekejap Sekejap. Yes. Oh, saya salah share. This one. Sekejap Okay, sekarang you nampak apa Boleh tak nampak dekat screen author's declaration?
Ada, Doktor.
Betul.
Okay, make sure when you write your report, firstly, of course, you must follow the format, okay, stated or required by AAGBS. I believe your coordinator will supply you with this information. Okay, although you have the materials, you have the yeah, the ideas of what to write on it, but at the same time you must adhere with the format, okay, stated by AAGPS. Okay, this is an example of the formats that we have. This is the final report by 2 students of AAGPS. Okay, they study on koperasi pekerja marine. Yeah, so normally you must have your cover page with author's declaration, and then the abstract. Abstract is a summary, actually, summary of the whole report. You only come up with the abstract once you have done everything lah. Okay, kalau you tak tahu apa you buat, of course you cannot come up with a good abstract. Okay, normally when you carry out a comprehensive report, you need to give convenience to the reader by providing abstract. Okay, so normally abstract tu dalam satu muka surat dah enough. Okay, and to acknowledge those people who somehow rather either directly or indirectly assist you, you put it in your acknowledgement segment. Okay, and tables of content. Okay, kalau dalam your report kan, ada setengah assignment you buat, ada siap kotak-kotak apa semua tu kan. Kalau dalam formal report dia tak ada macam tu tau. Okay, make sure you follow the format yang sepatutnya. Okay. Okay, biasanya in this report you ada author's declaration, you ada abstract, acknowledgement, you must have that tables of content. Okay, tengok dia punya format dekat sini, dia guna nombor ni ikut Roman ke ikut apa yang sepatutnya. Okay, normally you use a lot of tables, you must have that list of table, and then you must have that list of abbreviations. Okay, kat sini kadang-kadang you ada list of figures. Yeah. Okay, chapter 1. Okay, chapter 1. Kat sini pun numbering ni bukan ikut yang sepatutnya. Okay, you have background study. Okay, you talk about the insurance company because they study on koperasi insurance. Yeah, and then the problem statement, the research objective, research question, significance of the study, and then you have the literature review. Okay, and then you have the research methodology. Okay, you see sources of data dekat sini. Okay, this bila dia buat on primary data collection, dia highlightkan macam mana this survey be carried out. Okay, population dia, sample size dia, unit of analysis dia, variables yang diguna pakai. Alright. Well, don't worry about this. Again, you're going to cover this in your BRM. Yeah. So kalau dalam academic construct tadi, we suggest you to combine these methods dengan business tool. Ni contoh business tool yang you boleh guna pakai, SWOT analysis, maybe you can use Tauf's metric ke. This student, they use a lot of business tools. Okay, again, you are not required. Okay, it is not required for you to use too many business tools. Kadang bila too many, banyaklah report yang you nak kena buat. Yeah, one enough or maybe two to support, as long as it's consistent dengan you punya research question tadi tu. You have the research conceptual framework, hypothesis testing, and then these are the result and the discussion. Okay, so setiap satu tu ada discussion dia, result dia. Contoh tadi, you buat survey, ada result on survey, ada result on your SWOT analysis, you punya TOS metric and soft, and then you have to combine. And then you have the conclusion and recommendation. Okay, this one, to in line with your objective of the study, you may need to recall back your objective and try to relate dengan you punya finding or conclusion kat sini. Yeah. Alright, and your appendix. And this is the list of figures, list of tables, yeah, list of population. This is the introduction. Okay, let me highlight on the objective and the research question. Okay, you see dia support dengan some figures, some input daripada various sources that help you to convince the reader on the weight, on the importance of the statement that you made lah dalam report itu. Yeah. So this is the problem statement. Problem statement not necessary it must be long, as long as it help you to convey or to highlight the points that allow you to carry out the research. Okay, research objective contohnya lah kan kat sini, to analyze situational analysis. Okay, normally lah dia punya format kan, objektif dia tu biasanya you start with some analysis, situational analysis. Kalau you cakap pasal objektif bermula dengan to tau. Kalau you cakap pasal research question mesti ada research, kena ada question mark. It should be in the form of question. Okay, ini dalam bentuk statement, ini dalam bentuk question. Contohnya, to analyze situational analysis of KPMMHE. To measure relationship between insurance product service element and client satisfaction. To develop recommendation on how to improve competitiveness. Okay. Selalunya, yang ketiga ni, objektif you untuk come up with the recommendation. Yang pertama ni, untuk analyze the situation. Yang kedua ni, research yang you nak carry out tu. Dekat sini dia nak conduct survey, they want to see the service elements dengan client satisfaction. These are the independent, this is the dependent. Okay, again, don't worry, you're going to learn this in your PRM. Alright? Okay, and the rest, these are the contents lah. Okay, if you want this, I may share with you. Alright, so you may use this as your guideline. Okay, this contoh, dia supply with appendix sebab you guna survey kan, so you can use the questionnaire. This is an example of set of questionnaire that they use in the study. Okay, sebab kalau you kata you study this particular variables and how you get the data from this survey lah. And the question that you develop here, normally you borrowed from previous study and it should be in line dengan the variables that you use in your study. Okay, and of course it should be consistent dengan your research objective and your research question. Okay, all right. So I guess that's all lah. Okay, if you need the slide, perhaps you need the, since I dah record benda ni, I can share with you the link. Tapi I think since it involve few hours, then it may take at least half an hour for me to get the link from Webex. Yeah, nanti I'll share with you. Right, any question before we stop our meeting? Finally kan, we dah boleh pergi raya. Okay, anything that you want to ask me?
Doktor, nak
Yeah.
tanya. Just nak, macam saya boleh create group WhatsApp ke untuk semua ni, saya masukkan sekali.
Sorry, tadi saya tak dengar, ada saya punya aircon ni masalah. Yeah, yes, can you please
Boleh saya buat group WhatsApp ke?
buat group
untuk-
WhatsApp?
So nanti yang macam doktor nak share tu, atau doktor nak share melalui
Oh, okay, right. Boleh je saya share dengan you, nanti you boleh share dengan your group members lah, kan?
okay.
Yeah, okay, right. Okay, anything else?
ABP ni dia satu subjek khusus ke dia hanya taklimat saja? And how does it correlate dengan BRM and how many ABPs are there?
ABP, ABR ni. Okay. This taklimat ni dia sekali. Taklimat ni hanya bagi you some idea on how to carry out the dissertation. Yeah, it is not a course. Okay, yes, it is a course code tu, tapi myself, I sendiri I'm not attached to ABR ni. Okay, I only assist the faculty to convey the message or to share information about how to carry out the dissertation. But me myself, I don't involve directly with these two codes. Saya hanya sebagai pensyarah jemputan untuk memberi ceramah. Okay, I'm not obligated to, not responsible to this code. Yang menjalankan tugas untuk handle these two codes adalah your coordinator, Dr. Tahira. Yeah. Do I answer that?
So applied business project is a subject.
Applied business, okay, ABR ni ya kita consider sebagai subjek sebab dia akan ada grade. Okay, yang you punya yang first semester ni, yang semester ni tak ada grade. Yang next semester akan ada grade. Okay, BRM adalah satu subjek membantu you untuk ialah somehow to carry out this paper lah juga. Sebab dia melibatkan research. Ya. Dan Dr. Farida adalah pensyarah yang mengajar you lah untuk BRM. Ya.
So there's no submission untuk applied business project 1 dan 2 except for the thesis ataupun dissertation bagi setiap kumpulan tersebut.
Ya betul. You tak ada assignment lain. That paper tu lah, you punya proposal dengan you punya final project paper tu will give you mark, will help you to gain marks. I won't give you any assignment. Okay, just because of I handle this session kan, not necessary that I should, it is not me to provide you the assignment. Okay, you already have the task to carry out this paper. Okay, your proposal, ABR apa tadi yang you cakap, kod baru, and next semester, your final dissertation tu. These two you need to submit and you have to do it in group, and that will allow you to be awarded with appropriate mark based on the quality of report lah. Yeah. Yes, anything else? Do I answer that?
Macam try to comprehend lagi. Maksudnya pada semester berikutnya akan ada applied business project 2 yang akan ada taklimat lagi.
Tak ada.
Tak ada dah.
Tak ada. Unless
subjek,
Dr. Tahira nak suruh buat lagi lah.
tapi dia dikira sebagai subjek untuk bagi kredit lah.
Ya, betul. Kalau you tak siapkan benda ni, you tak boleh grab. Okay.
Benda ni merujuk pada thesis.
Ya, betul, thesis. Thesis ni you buat dalam kumpulan. Ya.
Understood. Okay, saya tahu.
Ya. Ada lagi? Oh, ada nak jemput saya datang raya lepas ni? Right. Any more question? Okay, so if you don't have any question, then